G'day, welcome back to the channel. This is an important video because it's something that could happen to you, could happen to your friends, anyone you know. And it's about rules, the FAA, and the enforcement of their regulations. Now, I think everybody who's watching this video at the moment has heard of Philly Drone Life, Michael DeCurcio. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, the Philly guy who flew his drones in violation of the FAA's regulations in a manner that I would not have flown a drone, and in a way that, you know, dumb as a sack of rocks. I think even Mikey himself would admit he was dumb as a sack of rocks. He had to expect trouble, right? So he got proposed fines of $182,000 from the FAA, and he carried on doing it. And so the FAA got kind of ticked off, and they have taken further action. They want to turn those proposed fines into real fines. I've already done a video on, I don't think it's very just, considering the magnitude of his offending and the consequences of his offending. I don't think it's that $182,000 worth of fines for a man in Mickey's position is a just penalty for what he's done. And no one's for one moment suggesting that what he's done is right. I mean, there are rules, they're there for a reason. He broke the rules and he showed contempt for the authority of the FAA. Now, that's undeniable. No one's going to make excuses for that. But it's the FAA's response, it's their reaction, it's the way they're enforcing their rules, it's their laziness, in my honest opinion, their laziness, their inefficiency, their poor performance that has resulted in the situation we have now, because there are some new revelations. I received a document from somebody, which is a court document. And this is the most worrying thing I've ever read in respect to the hobby and the courts and the regulators. In this document, the FAA's petitioned the courts to have Mikey banned from flying any and all drones. Any and all drones. And that all his drones be seized. Now, think for a moment. The FAA has no jurisdiction over what you do in your own home. If you're flying a tiny whoop in your living room, it's none of their business. They should have no say, no authority over that. But this request to the courts says they want the defendant to be prohibited from the operation of any and all drones, which means even a whoop in his living room. Is that just? I don't think it is. You can't step into someone's house, their castle, and say, you can't do this in your own living room. Now, if there was some justification that it could endanger a third party or endanger a third party's property, I would understand. But there is no way that Mikey flying a tiny whoop in his living room is going to endanger anybody. This is vindictiveness at its worst. This is not effective enforcement of regulations. This is taking someone, making an example of them in the hope that you'll have a chilling effect on the rest of the community because you're too lazy. You're too lazy and incompetent to properly enforce your regulations. That's what this boils down to. Now, this is just a little intro. I'm working on a video. I'm going to go into this in a great deal of depth because there are so many flaws with the FAA right now. They are not doing their job. This needs to be highlighted for public safety. They're focusing on people like Mikey, trying to teach him a lesson. How dare you show contempt for us? We'll completely withdraw your access to this hobby, even in ways that we have no authority to do so. We're still going to do it. That is an abuse of power. And when bureaucrats start abusing their powers, it's time for people to rise up and say, I'm sorry, we're not having this, because today it's Michael, he's the one that's being abused. If the FAA get away with this, next time it might be you or someone you know. So we have to stand united on this. We can't let them trample Mike's rights as an individual, as a human being. It's even a breach, I believe, of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. It's depriving him of the right to enjoy his life without hurting anybody. Yeah, sure. Ban him from flying drones outdoors until this whole matter is resolved. But do not make a universal ban that says the defendant is prohibited from operation of any and all drones. That is bureaucratic, massive overreach. It has to be squashed. The only people who are going to do it are us. Video coming on this subject. If you're not subscribed, do it now. You don't want to miss it. There's going to be a call to action, and this will be the test for this hobby. I've made calls to action before and people have sat on their fingers and said, not my problem. This could be your problem. If you don't act now and tell the FAA you've overstepped the mark, you've overstepped your authority, then I fear that you may be next. Anyway, go to the comments, tell me what you think. The next video will be a very interesting one. There'll be far too many facts, far too much logic, and far too much reason for the comfort of the FAA. I'm going to rip them a new one because they deserve it. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon, very soon.
Overregulation is like a tumor. It's killing our hobby. It must be terminated. Now!